Disclaimer: I do not own the clips or music shown. These are used for review and entertainment purposes. Thank you. Got Pass is me, Camden, on channel Camden. Let's go back in time, shall we? So I was going down, checking like some of my older videos and everything, and then I noticed, discussing the first phase of the MCU. That thumbnail is heinous. What is that? What was 15-year-old me cooking? And that kind of gave me an idea. I can't just let it just be a video floating out or in the wind. Even if it's one of my older videos. But I should expand on this idea where I should review every phase of the MCU each year. Every September, I'm gonna take some time and review a phase of the MCU. I don't know, I feel like this has some potential to be sort of like a yearly thing, a yearly trend. I think it will add a bit more flavor to the channel, you see. I'm gonna have a format where I review each movie, and I'm not gonna explain the entire plots of them because the video will be too long. In 2012, Avengers 1 was a very, very, very big movie. It was something that people didn't really see before. A certain amount of superheroes come together from different movies, and especially in a universe with multiple movies having different stories and all come together into one story. And it made a lot of money, and it's one of the highest grossing movies of all time. And this made Marvel wonder, what is next for our movies? What should we do next? Keep doing what we keep doing? Just keep making movies? Possibly make them bigger? I mean that was obvious. Iron Man 3 came out in 2013, which is a year after Avengers 1, and everyone was hyped for this movie because everyone knew who Iron Man was at that point. He was everyone's superhero, and everyone loved him, and we still love him to this day. But in trailers, it seemed like it had a darker tone to it. It seemed like there was going to be bigger stakes than any other Iron Man movie had before. And the movie had more Iron Man armors than before. And the thing that people were really hyped for was the Mandarin, which we'll get to in a bit. And that hype, I got to say, childhood talks. I used to have this thing as a kid. Childhood talks. I say, Iron Man 3 is a very good movie. And there's so many good things I would like to talk about with this movie. But there's some things I gotta address that whenever this movie first came out, some people were iffy about it due to a certain character. And it was a character I just mentioned earlier. When the supposed main villain, the Mandarin, played by Ben Kingsley, he seemed really like a real opposing threat throughout the movie and in the trailers. But when our fellow protagonist, Tony Stark, encounters him for the first time,
What are you? What are you, decoy? You're a double, right?
Well, not understudy. No, absolutely not. Don't hurt the face. I'm an actor.
Yes, I know, it seemed a bit disappointing. But I personally kind of found it funny. I mean, it was. And the movie was so good, and it had a pretty good script, so I'm not really going to complain right away. Besides, we did get a payoff in Shang-Chi, so it's just fine. Now, for the people that don't like Iron Man 3. Give me another reason why you don't like this movie, besides the Mandarin. I'll wait. Exactly what I thought. Now, we gotta talk about our main star. Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, played by Robert Downey Jr. And I gotta say, Robert Downey Jr. brings so much charisma to this role. No matter which Marvel movie he is in, he just brings it all. And every time I watch him, I miss him even more. Makes his death in Endgame even sadder. Like he's funny, he's charming, he has a good arc, we see his flaws, we see the good things about him. It's just, you can't hate Tony. And like I said about Iron Man, at this point, with the Iron Man armors, they were really cool in this movie. And it was like, at this point, where everyone wanted to be Iron Man. Everyone wanted a Iron Man suit. Everyone wanted to fly around. Everyone everyone wanted to be Iron. I mean, come on. Even today, people want an Iron Man suit, and sometimes they get it. I mean, personally, I am literally Tony Stark, bro. Even though I'm not rich, but still, I am Tony. And we gotta get to Tony's arc in this movie, which is after the events of Avengers 1, and how he went into the portal and he saw some crazy stuff, and he was almost dying. It gave him PTSD. It made him worry about what other major threats could be out there, since he's been exposed to aliens and Asgardians and stuff like that. It makes him paranoid, and it makes his situation even worse when Albert Killian shows up. Because a common theme with Iron Man's villains is that his past comes back to haunt him. And it's his demons. Because ever since he gave up giving weapons to the government and he tried to better himself to become Iron Man. But there's some people that remember his past and can't seem to let go of it. They use it against Tony, and they use it to torment him and the people he cares about. Even if Albert Killian was just a dollar store syndrome, it ties into the theme of Iron Man's movies, about a man that created his own demons and how he has to face them. Demons besides alcoholism. And when his army of armor show up in the final battle, it makes it more satisfying, and to show how far he has came already. You know, it is not his last movie. And it's a very satisfying end to his trilogy, as he moves on and continues to be Iron Man. I also love the running joke about Rhodey, War Machine, being Iron Patriot, and it's not Norman Osborn. Oh, nothing. I'm signing my Avengers application. Yes, I'm signing up for the Avengers. Don't mind me. Overall, Iron Man 3 is a very, very fun movie. It has funny jokes, really good acting, really creative action scenes. Even when Tony is not suiting up as Iron Man, it's just a overall very good movie. And a good Christmas movie, as it takes place during Christmas. Now, okay, let's move on into the next movie. Thor, The Dark World, released in the same year as Iron Man 3. And we see Thor face Malekith the Accursed and the Dark Elves. And to do so, he must work with his brother Loki to stop him. And now, here are my thoughts on this movie. Mid. Yeah, this is not as good as Iron Man 3. It's just a movie that floats in the wind and exists. And the only thing people bring up about this movie is Loki and that Thor's mom died. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, the cinematography doesn't look that bad, and the acting is pretty good. But overall, it's just a movie. To make it really stand out, like not even just with the MCU, just Thor movies alone, it's just there. Loki is cool though. Every scene with Chris Hemsworth as Thor and Tom Hiddleston as Loki is just so fun to see. I can tell that Tom had a great time playing Loki. The way they argue, the way they work together, it's just fantastic with every scene. And it's kind of what carries the movie, to be honest. Like, it was like at this point, Loki was everyone's favorite MCU villain. Like, he was everyone's favorite before Killmonger and Thanos. And also, this scene was hilarious.
Given that you seem to like them so much.
Oh, this is much better. Whoa. Costume's a bit much. So tight. But the confidence, I can feel the righteousness surging. Hey, you want to have a rousing discussion about truth, honor, patriotism? God!
And then we have our real villain of the movie, Malekith. He's one of the blandest villains I have ever seen. Here's his entire personality trait. I'm evil. I'm bad. I like to blow things up. I like to kill things. Ha 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 ha. Kind of showed at this point people were starting to get tired of Thor. Even Chris Hemsworth. Like, he contemplated leaving. And it's clear that Thor's movies, it needed a change if he wanted to continue. And it seems like he may need that change again.
Meanwhile, at the Marvel Studios headquarters.
Hello, it's me, Camden. I'm about to blah 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 blah. Marvel this, Marvel that, the Sonic, blah blah blah. Hey, can someone contact this man? Captain America, the Summer Sergeant, was a very, very good movie. It is one of the most highest praised MCU movies to this day. People still won't shut up about it. It has great action, has a good plot, and it has a good representation of Captain America in the modern world. Yeah, like, it was mainly about Cap having to deal with how the world is now in the 21st century. And he had to face that. He wasn't in the 40s anymore. And they didn't really do the unfunny Captain America is racist jokes. White man from the 40s equals immediately racist. You do know that not everyone from the 40s was racist, right?
Why can't we use the word... Oh... Steve, was this you?
Tony, it's just a word.
Steve, we are not having this discussion again.
We used to use this word all the time back then.
Yeah, well, we don't anymore, so stop it.
I just don't understand why we can't use the word bra anymore.
Because it's outdated and not funny and quite cringy, okay?
He truly is a man out of time. And it's done very well. It's done a great job. It's about trust. It's about corruption in the government. And we just have to see how this man has to face that, even if it isn't punching somebody in the face. Cap being here for the sequel, it isn't just he punches a new guy, the end. It's a bit more than that. And with Sam Jackson as Nick Fury, it adds more to it. And of course, Sam is always fantastic as Nick Fury. Matter of fact, Samuel Jackson isn't fantastic in everything he's in, which is every movie ever made. And we get introduced to Falcon, played by Anthony Mackie. He was great. Hansen as Black Widow, she was great. There was more added to her. And the Winter Soldier, he is cold. He is so cool. And whenever Cap and Bucky just interact, it's just, oh, chef's kiss. Just fantastic. Guardians of the Galaxy was released in 2014, and before this movie came out, these were characters nobody knew. Like no one would know what a Star-Lord or Drax or Gamora. Like no one would know who these people are. I mean, little me did because little me watched Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. But outside of that, nada. And so they had to take some risks here with these Z-listers. And James Gunn decided to put his little flair onto it. And since this movie's released, everyone loves the Guardians of the Galaxy. They're such lovable characters. They have a lot of charm to them. Just everyone loves them. And they're different from our normal heroes, where they're all, noble and heroic and just, the basic, like Captain America or Thor or Spider-Man. Nah, they're different. There's a talking raccoon, a walking tree. It's different from normal. And they're not as, by the book as some of those other heroes I just named. And of course, Chris Pratt as Star-Lord.
Star-Lord. Who? Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw.
I love how, he said his superhero name from the comics and they immediately make fun of it. And it just makes sense because the type of characters they are. But now I see it in other superhero movies and it just doesn't work. Like the ha, that's your name that's literally your name, wow, that's stupid. But like Thor, The Dark World, this movie has a pretty bland villain too. Here are the characteristics of Ronan, the Accuser. I'm evil. I want to take over the world. And I want to kill everything that moves. And of course, Groot. Who doesn't love Groot? Yeah, these band of characters everyone grew to love. They're little goofy little misfits. But they have to save the galaxy. And they're not completely pure. And that's what makes them special. And the 70s and 80s music is just also fantastic to hear in their movies. Come and get your love. Come and get your love. Click off of this video. Avengers: Age of Ultron, which was named after a comic storyline, but they have nothing in common. Everyone was hyped for this one as well, as the trailer seemed darker than the first. Ultron truly seemed like a menacing villain, and then the movie had a lot of jokes and stuff in it. It wasn't really that dark. And the movie came out, and no one specifically hated it. Just people felt like it wasn't as good as the first Avengers. I mean, yeah, I agree. And it has some problems. Like sometime during the second act, you can feel like they're just trying to point out some of their plans that they have in the future. I mean, did we really need a full scene of Thor having visions of and Infinity Stones and all that stuff. Ultron was a pretty cool villain. I wish we could have seen a little bit more of him being menacing rather than being sassy, but James Spader did a pretty good performance with him. And while it's not as good as the first Avengers, or Infinity War, or Endgame, it's still not that bad. Like I said, I pointed out some of the flaws, and it's not perfect. It doesn't hold as much weight as the first Avengers movie does, with them coming together for the first time and them teaming up. But a major highlight of this movie, and kinda carries it, is the chemistry between the OG 6 Avengers. Like, bro, they have such good chemistry. It's so fun seeing them interact with one another. And I just, the MCU, like with their new Avengers, they're gonna have some big shoes to fill. Like Iron Man, Thor, Cap, Hulk, like Hawkeye and Black Widow, like they bounce off of each other really well, and the actors just make it even better. And it makes me think that some of it was probably improvised. And this inspires me to join the Avengers, which is why I was signing that application earlier. Cause just look at them, man. They're just so great together. And yes, the action scenes are pretty cool. The Hulk Buster fighting the Hulk it went dummy hard. Like it was dumb, but it went really hard. So I will give it that. But yeah, overall, it's decent. It has some problems. It relies on a lot of cliches, and it kind of leans into the future of the MCU a little too much. And it doesn't hold as much levity as the first, but it's still not that bad. And the cast of the movie carries it. And I would like to say that I recommend this movie. For a little story time. So, when I was little, I thought Spider-Man was going to show up in this movie because I used to watch a lot of fan trailers. And I was like, wait, well, is Andrew Garfield Spider-Man going to be in the movie? And you got to remember, this was before the time of Tom Holland. So it just had me thinking. And when I saw the movie, I was like, oh well.
To stop a runaway train.
I got it! Just your friendly neighborhood Marvel Universe Spider-Man!
And now we're at Ant-Man, which came out in 2015. Starring Paul Rudd as Scott Lang. And this movie had a lot of difficulties getting out. It went on for years, even before the first Avengers movie, with Edgar Wright attached to the direct. And I really wonder what it would have been like if we see Edgar Wright direct all the Ant-Man movies. Quantumania would have been a lot more memorable if so. And then the movie came out in 2015. And I gotta say, it's a good movie. Not the greatest superhero movie of all time.
Of all time!
But I gotta say, it's pretty entertaining. And Paul Rudd has a lot of charisma as Scott Lang. He does a fantastic job. And Paul Rudd is fantastic in everything. He's Paul Rudd. Who could hate Paul Rudd? Paper, it is kind of weird that Hank Pym is really old and Scott Lang is the main Ant-Man and he isn't a founding member of the Avengers. And Scott Lang's legacy would be that he's always loved and he's played by the great Paul Rudd. While Hank Pym's legacy would be that he's the superhero that beat his wife. But yeah, Scott has a great upbringing in this movie. from a thief to a hero, and finally wins back his daughter. Yep, I think this is it for this year's MCU phase look back. And this will be hopefully a start of a good new trend. Even though I skipped last year. Overall, I think phase 2 was a pretty good phase. It wasn't completely perfect. Marvel had some things to work on, but I think it was overall a good time for them to experiment more, and they expanded on the characters, they expanded on the lore, and some pretty fun movies. And I gotta say, I recommend most of these movies, especially Iron Man 3 or Winter Soldier and Ant-Man. I don't really care for Dark World that much. Yep. I hope that Avengers application goes somewhere. Could it be? That's Captain America's shield. Yo, look, it's Ant-Man.
Is enough. I am the real Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson. Don't worry about it, I have some hair on my head and I have some waves, even though Sam Jackson's not completely bald. Don't worry about that. I am Nick Fury. Now, get your behind up and join the Avengers right now. Ooh, yes, right? I'm looking at you. Subscribe right now. Subscribe to this channel right now, or I'ma shoot you.
Hi there. This is Kevin Feige, executive producer of literally the entire MCU, and CEO of Marvel Studios. Channel Camden is distributed by Marvel Studios now. Matter of fact, we're making a MCU Channel Camden movie right now.
Yo, dumb, but get what? That boy had pulled up in a Hulk machine. That boy had pulled up.